Hey, what did you talk about this week?
Welcome back to the Corporate Kitchen. I'm your host, Tiger. This week, we've been talking about business travel, taking trips on the company's dime. Now more than ever, I think it is crucial that you take opportunities available to you that you don't have to pay for. Things are getting very expensive nowadays. I remember when international flights were relatively cheap, and now it's tough to catch a flight, a good one, for under like $600, $800. And don't even think about upgrading. We're just talking basic economy, maybe have to pay for my bag too. You want to upgrade and go to premium? Ooh, all right, big spender. Got it like that. That would be cool. But if the company can do it, let them pay for it. Again, you can experience a lot of the world if you are open to traveling for the company. I remember I was working with one company and I did some international travel with them. Very cool experience. This was, I would say, relatively early in my career, where due to the company policy, I was able to fly upgraded business class for the international trip. This was my first experience flying business class, and I did it through Delta. Delta is my airline of choice out of all the ones available. When I got to the airport, it shows on your ticket. I got a physical ticket. That another change in the world, right? I got a physical ticket, and that business class international ticket gave me access to the Delta Lounge. Went in there for a little bit, relaxed, had a bite to eat, got to my gate. And of course, for those types of flight, you're the first group to be called. You board first. What really set that experience for me and made me realize how different business class is from everywhere else is getting on the plane, and my instincts makes me turn right. I'm like, all right, so I get on, quick right turn, find my aisle. But instead, they're like, no, 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 no. You go left. You go to the front of the plane. And I remember just being so confused, like, wait, where am I? What do you mean the front of the plane? That's where the cockpit is and where the pilots are. And it's like, wow, I've never been up here to business class. When I got to my seat, I looked around, got a good look of the clientele on this flight. I was definitely the youngest person there. Some people had their company paraphernalia on, so you knew that they were there on company business travel as well. And then you had the other people that looked like aged wine, so it's like probably their money that they used to take this trip. And here I am, looking like a young fella. Do I even belong? Probably not. And that experience in that business class flight of being fed so much, being receiving the pajamas that you do, and it's a lot of pampering, a lot of high level service that as a normal person you would never see, and you think that only exists in the movies and for rich people. And it's like, well, you don't have to necessarily be personally wealthy. If the company is well off, they may provide benefits to, and especially the large corporations provide these types of benefits to the employee. And it's not because, at least for most corporations, it's not because they want you to feel comfortable and they want you to be able to sit back and relax. No, it's, I need you to work when you get there. So I will make your travel as seamless as possible so that you don't have to stress about it. So when you get there, we're putting you to work, just like we talked about in the kitchen. They want you to work when you get there. So I was on the flight, experienced like luxuries I've never felt before and never experienced prior to. Got to the country, foreign country, went through customs. I had a couple people guide me to my hotel and how to get there. I actually had to take a train and a cab to get there. Once I got to the hotel, they were like, "Oh, you're here with such and such company. Cool. We're going to put you at a higher floor and you get access to the executive lounge." And I'm just like, wow, okay, cool, wonderful. The part of the trip that I want to fast forward to and make sure I tell the story of is there are a lot of companies that will have employees who work for the company but overseas. The term that's used for these employees are called expatriates, not the spelling like New England Patriots of Patriot, but Patriot, Patriate, expatriate, expat for short. You may hear the term expat. They're called expats. The formal name is expatriate. And they work for a company in the United States, but they live abroad. We had someone with that who lived in this country, been there for 2 years prior to my visit, and knew the area. I mean, they live there, they get a rental car, the whole shebang, and they're almost like a citizen. They're not officially, but almost like they are a citizen because they live there full time. So when I got to my first day of work out there, I met this person for the first time. Didn't even know this person worked at the company prior to being on this project to send me out to this country. Obviously, never met this person before because they lived abroad. First time meeting them. And when I say that this person was one of the coolest people like I've ever met. And of course, since I'm new to this country, never been there, been to this country before in my life, I had to feel this new person out because I needed someone to show me the ropes and like, hey, what's the best places to eat? Hey, what's a good place to hang out with? I was at this country for 2 weeks, so I was staying over a weekend too. I didn't want to just be stuck in my hotel room. I wanted to be able to go out, venture out, and see what the best things this area had to offer. So the expat that lived there showed me the ropes. Really cool person. Like I said, one of the coolest people I ever met, a great friend, and showed me the ropes out there, showed me to this, it was like this midnight dive bar where they had every single Nintendo game that you can think of. And we played probably like 4 to 5 hours of Super Smash Bros. It was a long time. And it was a really cool, like almost shack of a dive bar place. There also was a lot of great food places that this person knew. I'm a foodie. I love to eat. So obviously I was like, okay, I'm willing to try everything. Surprisingly, there were some excellent chicken wings out there. They served it in a large bowl, a lot of chicken wings, and we ate all of them. It was really, really good food out there. I really enjoyed that. The point of that and the first action that I want you to take from the table is make friends. When you are going on your business trips, you should be making friends. Now, we're adults here, so I will say it like this. The type of friend you make is on you, but make a friend. I know when we've heard plenty of stories, we talked about this, a person A, person B, da da da. If you decide that you want to take a more closer approach to making friends or be closer with friends that you meet, I'm not here to judge. I'm here to tell you you are representing your company. Even once you leave the facility and you're off the clock, just be careful. We talked about this before. Be careful when you're going about doing your business because you are away from your home. And even though you're away from home office base, you're still a representative of the company. Just be careful. But at the same time, we're adults. So that it's a spectrum. When I say friend, it's a whole spectrum from, very intimate type friendships to fully platonic kick it. Hey, I just found my new hangout buddy type of thing. But at the end of the day, make new friends. This is an area that you either have been to for the first time or been to a couple times. Regardless, you're being exposed to something different. Learn from people, make a friend out there, increase the network. We get in corporate America so much input into development for people with the idea of it's not what you know, it's who you know. Who you know in your network trumps everything. If that's the case, then why on earth would you not take an opportunity to expand that network when you're traveling? Customer, supplier, sister facility, different company, wherever. If you're going to leave headquarters, home base, satellite office, wherever that office is that you work, and especially if you're remote, I mean, this is even critical for the people that work remote. If you're leaving home to go to somewhere else, that is a perfect opportunity to make a connection and build. One of the best things that I did once I talked to this person and I made this friend in this travel is to learn about expats. I didn't know a lot about expats, but the information, the input this person was able to give me on what the expat life is like, what the requirements are, how long your contract is, what the benefits are like, amazing. And from that friendship I made, I want to be an expat. I haven't done it before, but I absolutely want to be an expat. That life is something that I admire to do. This person was able to expat in multiple countries too. That to me, that is like amazing, right? To be able to say that you lived, and most people will do this in college when they study abroad, but as an adult to fully live in another country and work there, that was amazing to me. So kudos to that person. If you're ever listening to this, know number one that you're awesome, but two, kudos, because that exposure to learning about that life that you lived out there was great for me, but I know it was even better for you to even go through that. So whenever you're traveling, make friends. I've done a lot of traveling to supplier, what would be considered subcontract facilities, suppliers facilities, vendors, whatever word you want to use for the people that supply us parts. Travel to a lot of those facilities. Expanded my network with them as well. I talked to them on the phone plenty of times through virtual messaging, whether it was like Skype, Teams, Zoom, whatever, and to meet them in person, learn about their factory, and also, I'm a foodie, get something really nice to eat out there. It just expands the network. A lot of people like to get together and do a customer team dinner type thing, and then they tell you their whole life story, right? And it's sometimes the stories are really cool. Other times it's just like, I don't like this person. So how do we end dinner as fast as possible? Regardless, it is a new connection. And I've done that plenty of times when I've gone to these vendors and they've taken us out to dinner. And it's just like, oh, okay, now this is just someone to add to the Rolodex. Another story is similar to the first one where I went through another business class experience, same company, different country. Same company, different country. Uh, bef- and what was actually really cool about this one, I actually flew a different airline this time just because of flight times. I was like, I don't want to switch away from Delta. I am a brand loyalist sometimes where I like to just, if I'm comfortable with the brand, and I stick with them. Wasn't able to book Delta, booked a different airline, which most people recommended who did this flight before. But at the time when I booked it, I have already did the business class travel. So now, I walked with a little bit more confidence in my step when I was going down the tarmac. And I'm like, yeah, I know where to go. And it was surreal a little bit to get on and board and look around and see newbies who never flew business class before and were in my position just the trip before, and just being able to see that, right? Like when you experience something, you now have the ability to recognize those who haven't experienced it. And it's mind opening where it's like, wow, okay. At the time, and parents tell us to this all the time, you think you know everything. At the time, you think you know, or even if you like open your mind to learning, you're trying your best. You're picking up as much as you can until you actually go through it. And then it's like, got it. Okay. Now we're in a groove. Now we know. So when I boarded the flight, I was able to quickly identify the people that never did this before. Like, they're like, oh, are these headphones somebody? Did someone leave their headphones? Nope. You're in business class. You get free headphones and, the whole 9 yards. So I was able to chat with them a little bit. They were on business travel as well with their company and learned a little bit about what project that they were supporting and how many people were traveling and which functions and whatnot. So I did make friends on that trip too. But the key action here, and I'll continue with the story after I go over to action. The key action here was I was open minded. So when you go on your business travel, you have to keep an open mind. Regardless of if you're well traveled or if you lived in one area your whole life, you are removing yourself from that normality. You are disrupting what you know true in an everyday life. You can't live in Los Angeles, California and say, this is a day in the life for me, travel to Atlanta and expect to see the same thing. You can't live in Seattle, Washington, travel to Miami, Florida, and expect the same thing. Things are just different. And there's so many factors that play into that, both stuff you can control and stuff that you can't control. Regardless, you have to approach it with an open mind so that you're not bringing your bias in there and you truly learn. If you don't have an open mind and you come there closed, you're going to reject and deflect every opportunity to learn. And it's like, well, we don't do that in LA, so this doesn't exist. Meanwhile, it may be a thing that only LA does out of the whole country. It's an LA specific thing. Everybody else does it. So if you're not going to take the opportunity to absorb it and learn it, it may not be Atlanta. You go to Chicago and hey, they're doing the same thing Atlanta did. And you're still confused like, oh, you guys are idiots. So it's like, no, actually, you're the idiot because you didn't open yourself to be able to learn. So action 2, make sure you keep an open mind. On this second business trip that I took overseas, abroad, in business class, got to the destination, I was actually going to a different company. And part of that visit was to do an assessment to understand capabilities and see where we could help. Now, what's the irony of the situation is, when we went in to do the assessment, we found 2 things very interesting. Number 1, they created their product, and it's the same type of product that my company was created. So it was like very closely related. You would have thought if you had a closed mind that they did it the exact same way. They did not. They built the product differently than we did it back home. And honestly, theirs was better. Theirs were better. We got there and they walked us through the whole line, how they did it, the steps that they take. There were improvement opportunities that we identified that make sense, but were they drastic? Were they game changing? Were they, oh my God, we're so much better than you and we're going to come in and now your factory's getting on par with ours? No, not even close. They have a very, very, very good factory and it showed. It was eye-opening, and it's almost like a hat tip, right? Where you have to give them their flowers and their respect because you want to go in and feel like, hey, we're world class. We do things the best. And I'm going to help share what the best looks like. If you close your mind, and if I walked in with a closed mindset, basically feeling like we're the best and we're going to make sure you get closer to us, we wouldn't have had the opportunity to truly absorb and appreciate that, hey, no, they're actually fine. And honestly, in more areas than not, they're better. We could actually pull from them to make ourselves better. Does that make them the best? Why are we worried about the best? Why are we? And that was the conversation that we were having there when someone brought up, they were like, well, we do this and we think you should be closer. It's like, well, they don't even build it the same. So why would we want to enforce the way that we build it and the techniques that we use to build it our way if they build it a different way? It should be more about supporting them and giving them consultation of how their way could be better. But we have to stick to it's their way. Part 2 of that same trip that really reinforced keeping an open mindset so that you can just absorb everything is that we went to, and this is going to give away the name of the country that we were at, but I'm not going to say it. I'll just let you look it up. We went to Audi's headquarters, took a trip out there. They offer tours of headquarters. Mind you, I wasn't in the car manufacturing industry at the time. So I wasn't like an employee of Chevy and Ford and I'm comparing. No, wasn't any of that. Was not in the car manufacturing industry at all. But we know, based off of being Americans, about German engineering. And very curious, since the tour was offered, of what that looks like in person. We have this idea. What does that look like in person? And we came to that facility completely open-minded. Let's learn. I understand what I've seen in YouTube videos, consultations, and tours in the United States of how U.S. factories in the United States build cars. Let's go see how a foreign manufacturer does it in their own country. So we went to Audi's headquarters, got the tour. Very cool factory. Very cool factory. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about the stuff that I saw, but there were a couple things that I want to point out that I thought were amazing. Number one, they had a random waterfall. Just, we walked down the aisle, made a turn, you hear rushing water, you look up, waterfall, beautiful plants, and it looked like we just walked in a botanical garden. Like, what is this doing in a manufacturing facility? And they mentioned, they were like, oh, well, it helps the ambiance and it's something that supports, good energy and making sure that everyone's happy and comfortable. And we were like, wow, that's pretty cool. That was pretty neat to see. Another big one too, from a logistics standpoint that I thought was really cool is that they sit right on the railroad tracks. So when they're done, the transport from facility to, let's say, the port so that they can get the cars loaded up to a cargo ship and shipped to the United States is no travel. They finish the car. Railroad tracks are right there. They just put the car into a shipping container. The shipping container on the freight car, and that train goes right there. No driving, no transport. Everything's right there for you. And that centralization of logistics, so smart, so hard to do. I mean, we could talk for a long time about the United States transportation system, but the logistics of having just everything centralized for transportation right where you need it to be, we thought was amazing. I mean, you talk about efficiency, that's you don't get more efficient than that. Hey, come off the line, right onto the train, and off you go. that should prove that when you get your car, it better have less than 10 miles on it. You get your car, it has like 50 miles on it. It's like, well, it's a long way to get from the factory to the train so that we can get it off and then we have to drive it to you. It's like, no, 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 no. That car could probably get to you with less than 2 miles on it the way that they do it. So that was really, really cool to experience. And I would love to go back there. I took that trip a while ago. So I'm very curious of how they are now, but it it was eye-opening. And keeping that open mind really helped us understand why they do some of the things that they do and how it helped them. Again, if you come into the mindset of, oh, we're the best and therefore we can't learn from you, then you won't learn. And honestly, it hinders the growth of not only yourself, but the company as well. Which brings us to the last action and last story alert. Last action is be better. Have to be better. I was in a role that I actually had to travel a lot in at a company. And one of the places that I had to travel with, very, very, very difficult. It wasn't, so they would be considered like a vendor. So I was traveling to a vendor, and this company was having a very, very hard time. Because they were having a hard time, we were having a hard time as the customer. I think a lot of times the knee-jerk reaction of people when you don't get what you want, I mean, as an everyday consumer, if you're not getting what you need, what do? Oh, I'm going to call corporate and make sure, if Amazon loses your package, you file a refund, and if they don't give you a refund, you're going to call corporate to see what's going on. Who actually helps the operations and the delivery people to figure out and run that investigation and support them from a customer standpoint? Nobody. So it's like you're getting ragged on by the customer. You're not really getting the support internally because the customer called corporate, and now corporate's also on top of you. And it's like, how do I breathe from this? So coming into this vendor with an open mind, I wanted to appreciate the challenge that they had, but also identify how to be better. When you're going on your trips, you have to find a way to be better, whether you're physically being better, you're helping the place that you're at be better, whether you're helping your own company be better. Somebody needs to improve. It could be just a status meeting. Hey, I'm getting status. Something got better. The action that you have to always keep in mind is you should leave that place better off, whether it's your company being better off, their company being better off, or you being better off than when you got there. Otherwise, why were you there? If absolutely nothing changed. I mean, and this could be just like flying out there to make a decision and say yay or nay. If nothing changed, you go out there and you spend some time, you leave, and it's left in the same exact spot. You're in the same exact spot. What'd you do? Boondoggle? You might have been a boondoggle, but we're not going to go there. If you don't know what a boondoggle is, go Google it. I'm not going to tell you. Go look at the Merriam-Webster. Won't go over that this episode. Those exist. We're talking about the mission, the real business travel here. Be better. Make sure, and for those of you that are going on boondoggles, find something to be better with. Find something that got better, and that will kind of cover you when you're going there. Everybody else, make sure you're being better. So I went to this one vendor. They were having a hard time, and I was having a hard time trying to get them better. And I visited this company multiple times, so it wasn't a one and go. It was definitely a lot of visits. Because they were having a hard time, the directive from leadership is to make sure that we're supporting them. And by the way, we need people on site as much as possible to support them. But they weren't getting better. And I took that kind of hard because I didn't know what to do. I felt like I was almost neutral with their management of going there. And let's say we're at level 7. And when I left, we were either level 7 or maybe in even level 6, level 5. Like we were not leveling up on how we needed to be. Then I realized the be better doesn't just apply to the vendor. The be better can apply to us as well, as my company, as the customer. A lot of times we get stuck on, hey, let's go there. Let's go to this place. Let's travel there and only focus there. And forget that you're bringing back knowledge that you didn't previously have. So it's not just the destination that can get better. When you return the sender, and you get back to the origin can get better too. So the opportunities to be better are high. And that's the approach that I had to change with this vendor, where, hey, I went there multiple times. Nothing's getting better. The destination, looking at the vendor as the destination, I was not leveling up. Couldn't get it leveled. So what do? Use the information that I have to try to level up the origin ourselves as the company. Hey, how do we look at the supplier differently? Hey, how do we use their data to drive a different story? Hey, let's ask for help for other people to see if we can get a different angle, and maybe someone knows something that we don't. Now, like not physically right now, but fast forward to a couple years later, they're doing better. They're doing much better. And I think a lot of that is contributed to us getting better. When we changed our approach and got a little bit more help, a little bit more involved in a different way, we were able to provide a different form of influence. So since we got better at our approach, we leveled up, we got to level 12 in our approach. Now we're able to pull them from a level 7 to a level 9. Instead of, hey, we're at a level 8 and they're at a level 7 and we're trying to pull them up to 8. It's like, no, I took the information I had. I leveled us up from 8 to 12. And now that we're approaching as a 12, now it's a lot easier to bring them up from 7 and get them to like a 9. Take that approach sometimes. I found that many places that I've gone to, and even in the story I told you before this, many places that I've gone to, I take away a lot more than I put in. I try to give as much input as possible based off the role that I'm in when I do the visit. I've been in different roles, so I didn't always wear the same hat and serve the same purpose when I visited. However, even throughout every single one of those opportunities, even if I consider myself a subject matter expert, or I was classified as a subject matter expert in the functional organization, most of the time I'm getting more input than I am outputting. That should hold true for most of your visits as well, because if you're getting exposed to something, you should be getting a lot of new information, and then you can absorb it, do something about it, and either make you better, your company better, or make them better. So something gets better in this process. Something progresses. That wheel is turning, and it may not be at full speed, but somehow and another, you've turned that wheel. So remember, make friends wherever you go, be open-minded, and be better. You do all those things, you will be really, really, really interested in my opinion, you'll be interested in business travel, and it will make it a lot more fun. And we always like fun, right? Because I remember when I took a boondoggle too.
Hey, you said last story. Can you wrap this up?
Oof. Okay. I enjoyed working on this menu item with you this week, but let's come to an end while it's still hot. Remember, the ending to one story is the beginning of another. There will be more in store next week at the Corporate Kitchen. Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Tiger. Until next time.